It was just hours before everything changed. She was about to turn 26. The Emerald Police Department is still looking into a homicide that took place at a Labor Day weekend after-party. A report filed about the fatal shooting of an Amarillo woman on August 31st reveals details that are now being challenged by surveillance footage. Her dress was ripped, her hair was disheveled, and she endured unspeakable violence. Although the police quickly arrested the suspected killer, he was released later when the charges were dropped, reportedly because there wasn't enough evidence to support a murder case. Felita's mother recalls her as someone who always drew people in with her charm. She remembered her daughter as kind, affectionate, and full of life, with a bright and beautiful spirit that brought warmth to every room with her infectious smile. Before we continue, we want to express our heartfelt condolences to Felita Jovan Bailey's friends and family. This tragic loss has created a space that can never be filled, and our thoughts are with all those who loved and cared for her during this incredibly hard time. We also hope that by sharing her story, we can remind everyone to cherish the relationships we have and be cautious about the trust we place in others. This story brings us to Amarillo, a city in the Texas Panhandle known for its deep history, cowboy heritage, and famous landmarks like Cadillac Ranch and Palo Duro Canyon. Amarillo is also an economic center for the area, with key industries like cattle ranching, oil, and energy playing significant roles in its economy. Amarillo has a crime rate higher than the national average, with property crimes like burglary and theft being more frequent. Violent crimes, including assaults and homicides, also occur at levels above what you would expect for a city of its size. This is the tragic story of Felita Jovan Bailey, also known as Fifi. She was a lively young woman whose life was full of potential, love, and joy. Felita was born on October 26, 1998, in Amarillo, Texas. Her journey led her from her hometown to Dallas, where she graduated from Mesquite High School in 2017. Those who knew her would describe Felita as a ray of sunshine. Her smile could light up any room, and her laughter had the power to lift even the heaviest of spirits. Clay told her that the greatest gift Felita could give was her ability to elevate the whole joy in others' emotions. Felita was not just a daughter, sister, and friend. She was a shining light who embraced life to the fullest. Whether she was singing, dancing, shopping, or simply enjoying time with her loved ones, she brought an unmatched energy and warmth to everything she did. Felita was studying to become a dental hygienist at Eastfield College, driven by a strong sense of determination and focus. Her professional goals were paired with an entrepreneurial spirit, something she inherited from her mother. From a young age, she had been an active part of their family catering business, Teefs, a name that cleverly combined their own, symbolizing the close bond and shared creativity between them. In January 2024, Felita made the heartfelt decision to move back to Amarillo to be closer to her grandmother and family. She was working at Tyson Foods while continuing her studies, and it seemed like she was on the verge of achieving her dreams. Those who worked with her and loved her saw her as a person with an incredible spirit, kind, loving, and always eager to spread positivity. In Amarillo, Felita crossed paths with a man named Dylan Black, a young man whose past was marked by a troubling criminal history. At just 22 years old, his record revealed a pattern of repeated run-ins with the law, with charges ranging from burglary to assault, along with multiple probation violations that pointed to deeper issues. It was the professor's responsibility to protect him. His mind was 24 months away. The night of August 31 began like many late-night gatherings, friends getting together after the bars closed at 2 a.m., with one of her family members inviting her to join. What began as a typical social gathering quickly took a dark turn at a house on Avondale. The situation escalated when around 40 uninvited guests showed up, overwhelming the party and forcing the homeowner to try and remove the crowd. The mood became increasingly tense and chaotic. In a moment of uncontrolled rage, He drew a firearm and opened fire, striking Felita multiple times in the upper torso and shoulder. The aftermath was devastating. Felita was rushed to the hospital, but her injuries were too severe. Felita tragically lost her life to her injuries, her future stolen in a senseless act of violence. According to the complaint filed, the scene that night was chaotic and filled with conflicting accounts, many of which were later contradicted by surveillance footage. The party, held late at night on the 1300 block of South Avondale Street, quickly spiraled out of control when around 40 uninvited guests arrived, adding to the tension. During the chaos, a man was dragged into the street and beaten. 4 gunshots followed, one striking a man in the leg and another tragically killing Felita. Dylan Black, just 22 years old, was arrested and charged with murder, held on a $500,000 bond. But the story doesn't end there. The police report on the shooting death of Felita Bailey on August 31st presents a version of events that is later contradicted by surveillance footage. The complaint outlines the police's account of what occurred when a man was injured and Felita tragically lost her life near 13th and South Avondale, with Dylan Black facing a murder charge. The report states that around 40 uninvited people showed up at a late-night party where a man was dragged into the street and beaten. It was then that 4 gunshots rang out, with one hitting the man in the leg. Despite Dylan Black's account of the events, surveillance footage from multiple sources tells a very different story. After his arrest on Sunday in Bushland, the complaint notes that Dylan Black repeatedly changed his story. Police recovered the clothes he had been wearing and the suspected firearm at a home in Amarillo after a witness directed them to the weapon. The Amarillo Police Department is still urging anyone with video footage from that night to come forward. Dylan Black remains in the Potter County Detention Center, facing a $500,000 bond. Video evidence from sources such as doorbell cameras and Snapchat contradicted Dylan's initial statements, presenting a different version of events. After his arrest, Dylan Black's story reportedly changed several times. Investigators found his clothing and a suspected weapon at a home in Amarillo, but despite this, the murder charge was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. The case took an even darker turn with the revelation of a second shooter, which police have confirmed. Authorities are still asking the community for assistance, urging anyone with surveillance footage from between 2:30 and 4 a.m. on the night of the incident to come forward. Felita's death remains under investigation, and her family, along with the wider community, continues to seek justice. To make matters worse, the family's pain was deepened by a series of bureaucratic mistakes, which only seemed to add insult to their overwhelming loss. How is she? Felita's family was not able to see her for 5 agonizing days after her death, as her body was mistakenly released to an unauthorized funeral home. An additional injustice in the midst of their grief. Odessa Bailey, Felita's mother, has since turned to social media to share her story, pleading for justice and voicing her deep frustration with how the police have handled Dylan Black's case. Her grief is evident, and her anger is completely justified, as she fights to make sure her daughter's memory is honored and that those responsible are held accountable. I don't live in Amarillo. When I asked why neither her father nor I were notified, detectives told me that as long as someone in the emergency room was informed, that was sufficient. They said they owed me nothing and that they didn't have to notify me about my daughter's death. My daughter was never identified. She didn't have any identification on her. I didn't see her body until 5 days after she was murdered, which gave enough time for any evidence to be destroyed, possibly to protect Dylan Black and whoever else helped him kill my daughter, because he's also one of the men who laid hands on her inside that house. Her mother shared her emotions, saying, "I need to do this live for my daughter. I need to share the truth and the facts about what happened to her here in Amarillo, Texas. For those who don't know, I am the mother of Felita Jovan Bailey, my only child. She was tragically murdered on August 31, 2024, on Avenue Street. There's so much being kept from the public, and it's time for people to understand why we're fighting so hard and why legal action is being taken. Please bear with me. This is incredibly difficult. I'm going to do this live. I have to do this live. I have to do this live. Have to do this live for my daughter. I have to do this live so that people can know some of the truths and facts surrounding the death of my daughter here in Amarillo, Texas. For those who don't know, I am the mother of Felita Javon Bailey. That is my only child. She was murdered here in Amarillo, Texas on August 31, 2024. My daughter was murdered in the midst of my daughter being assaulted by these young men. A family member who was there tried to help protect her from all these men attacking her. Please keep in mind, my daughter was not raised in Amarillo, Texas. She didn't know anyone at that party except the family member who invited her, and they were the only ones she knew among the people at that party. She was just going out like any young person would. They're 25, 22, young, still enjoying life and partying. In the midst of protecting my daughter, another family member, who's also young, got injured to the point where they tried to kill him. Two people, my daughter and another family member, weren't even at that house for 10 minutes, yet within that short time an entire house full of people jumped on just those two. My daughter told a young man no, and that's not a lie, that's the truth. Several people have come forward with the same story. After being rejected, this thug decided to physically assault my daughter. As my daughter pulls away to defend herself, my other family member steps in to protect her. There's video footage, video proof. The police have it, I have it, but it hasn't been leaked out. During the assault, another family member tried to protect her but was gravely injured. These men attacked her because she rejected one of them. There's video evidence showing my daughter's last moments, fighting for her life. Her dress was torn, her hair was pulled out, and she endured unspeakable brutality. Yet the police have failed us at every step. They never notified me of her death. I found out through the news. They told me they owed me nothing, and I didn't see her body for 5 days. It feels like everything has been orchestrated to protect her killers, especially Dylan Black, who had ties to the community. But I will not let her death be in vain. We're pursuing legal action, and I refuse to let the Amarillo police sweep this under the rug. Felita's story deserves to be heard, and her killers must face justice. After the loss of Felita Javon Bailey, her family launched a GoFundMe campaign to help cover the unexpected funeral expenses. This initiative was not only meant to provide financial support, but also served as a way for friends, family, and the community to offer their condolences and help during such a difficult time. The funds were intended to honor Felita's memory and ensure she received a proper farewell. The campaign reflects the love and solidarity of those grieving her untimely passing. Her family wrote on the GoFundMe page, "The unexpected death of anyone is heart-crushing, but when it's your young adult child, it is unfathomable. A special soul taken from this world too soon." Odessa Bailey and Leon Hayes experienced a tremendous loss on August 31, 2024, when their 25-year-old daughter, Felita Bailey, became a victim of gun violence. Felita Javon Bailey's funeral services were held in Amarillo, Texas. A viewing took place on Friday night, September 13, 2024, at the New Covenant Missionary Baptist Church, located at 3100 Angeles Drive. The funeral service followed on Saturday, September 14, 2024, at Greater Love Temple, located at 811 South Tennessee Street. Dylan Black's history was a disturbing pattern of violence, marked by aggressive behavior that should have raised immediate red flags to authorities. Despite multiple run-ins with law enforcement, his dangerous tendencies were consistently overlooked, downplayed, and tragically enabled by a system that failed to protect potential victims and a network of support that shielded him from facing real consequences. The devastating impact of this systemic failure is most acutely felt by Felita's family, who are now forced to navigate an ocean of grief that feels both endless and unbearable. Their loss is not just personal, but a wound that ripples through the entire community, a powerful reminder of how individual failures can spiral into collective trauma. As October approached, Felita would have turned 26, a milestone now overshadowed by profound mourning and remembrance. In a deeply moving tribute, her family released balloons into the sky, each one a fragile messenger carrying their life, their pain, and their unbreakable bond to a life taken too soon. The act of releasing balloons was more than just a symbolic gesture. It was a powerful statement of resilience. It was a way to ensure that Felita's spirit continues to soar, even though her physical presence was tragically taken from them. Her family refuses to let her be defined by her death, choosing instead to celebrate the vibrant, promising life she lived and the love she shared with everyone around her. Footage from doorbell cameras, social media, or personal recordings could provide crucial details to help piece together the sequence of events and ensure those responsible are held accountable. The investigation remains active, with every piece of evidence being vital in the pursuit of justice for Felita. While their grief is deep and their pain undeniable, their resolve to seek justice remains unwavering. They are not just mourning, they are fighting for justice, fighting to ensure no other family endures the devastating loss they've faced, fighting to hold a system accountable that has repeatedly failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. To the broader community, Felita's family sends a powerful message. Remember her. Remember not just the tragedy of her death, but the beauty of her life. Remember her dreams, her potential, her infectious smile, and more importantly, take action. Push for accountability, demand systemic changes, and ensure that perpetrators of violence cannot continue to operate with impunity. Their call is a clarion cry for justice, not just for Felita, but for all victims of senseless violence. They seek more than just legal resolution. They want lasting change to prevent such tragedies from recurring. They want meaningful change that prevents such tragedies from recurring. As they navigate this unimaginable loss, Felita's family holds on to hope that her story will raise awareness, spark important conversations, and ultimately lead to meaningful reforms in how society addresses and prevents violent crimes. May Felita Bailey's memory be a catalyst for change. May her spirit continue to inspire those who knew her and those who are now learning about her incredible life. And may justice, true and comprehensive justice, ultimately prevail in this heart-wrenching case. Her life was more than its tragic ending. It was a testament to potential, to love, and to the incredible promise of a young woman whose light was extinguished far too soon. This is more than just the tragic story of a life cut short. It's a heartbreaking testament to the systemic failures that too often leave victims and their families without recourse, closure, or justice. Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. We strive to bring you the most accurate and gripping true crime stories by gathering details from trusted sources. Your support means the world to us and keeps this channel alive. If you found this video engaging, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated with our content. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss any of our upcoming uploads. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon with another intriguing story.